Hey, Wellmug World Entertainment, and is James Gunn's future decided? Is he staying? Is he going? Will David Ellison pull the plug on the DCU and just restart again? Well, according to an agent from Hollywood, apparently the agent is in Warner Brothers, has said they don't expect Gunn to survive the change over to Paramount because of the whole Supergirl flop. Now, I have theories. I said this in the Batman video. I have a theory, but we'll have a look at parts of this article that kind of talk about this, because there's a lot of different people coming in and chiming in and saying this and that about the whole situation. And the question is, like, should James Gunn be nervous? And yeah, of course he should be. Like, he's just put a movie out that is looking like it could lose not just 1 million, even though they're saying 100 million, possibly millions. Let's take a look anyway. So, as you can see, like, the question is, will Gunn survive this regime change? And they're thinking he probably won't. So, the first part with the agent comes from the Wrap. So, it was in their Supergirl post-mortem, which they put in a line which was kind of buried in there, they say here, which the line was this, that this agent said: "I don't know how nervous DC is, but certainly James Gunn should be nervous. There will always be a DC, and the current execs have survived previous regime changes, but I don't think Gunn survives." So that's what they put in there. Now again, this agent is meant to be someone that works for Warner Brothers. In what capacity, we don't know. What do they work, like, for actors or something at the studio? We don't know. It's just supposedly this agent has come forward and said, oh, this is what's actually happening. So it goes on then, like, back in October 2025, our Hollywood insiders told us James Gunn would be out as head of DC once the Warner Brothers Discovery sale goes through, basically, with David Ellison's incoming regime expected to put Mike DeLuca in charge and start over. But you've a massive issue with coming in, getting rid of Gunn immediately and just restarting the DCU again. You're going to burn people out, and people aren't going to care, and they're not going to come back to it. You have to wait. If you come in and cancel it, fine. But you can't just restart it immediately. You have to wait at least 5, 6, 7, maybe even 10 years. You need people to start missing it again. You need to get the bad taste over the last 2 versions of DC that you've just had out of people's mouths. Because James Gunn took over while the DCEU was still very much going and cancelled everything. And there was still, 5 movies to come out? You had, Black Adam, Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, Blue Beetle, and was there something else? I think, wasn't The Flash still to come out at that stage? I think The Flash was still to come out at that stage. So, like, he killed the momentum any of these movies had. And people were like, well, what's the point in going to see them? So they didn't. Same thing would happen if you pull the plug right now. But it's saying in February, YouTuber John Campia predicted Gunn would ask out of his contract before the end of the year and land back at Marvel. So what he was saying was he thinks that Gunn will ask for his contract to be cancelled, to be terminated, so he could go back and be the understudy to Kevin Feige. And everyone's looked at that and said, why would he give up being in control of the studio to be working behind a guy who's in control of the studio? Like, that makes no sense. And it's also well known now that Feige and Gunn hate each other. They do not get on at all. So in March, insiders at WonderCon told us Gunn could be gone even before Man of Tomorrow, making a graceful exit rather than getting pushed out after the merger closes. That's crap. He's not going to walk before Man of Tomorrow comes out. So Puck's Matt Maloney made the call before the weekend even started. He framed Supergirl's flop as bad timing for Gunn and Safran, writing that their post-merger future running DC will likely be decided by David Ellison and the incoming Paramount team. That's the same handoff our insiders described in October, with the new owner holding the call on Gunn. The Wrap took it further. Their agents read that Gunn won't survive is the same conclusion, stated as an outcome rather than an open question. So they're basically saying like it's a formal conclusion now that he's gone. The Wrap also backs the other half of it, that the DC slate under Gunn has no real plan. They report DC's next priority is a Bane Deathstroke movie with no director or cast attached. By the way, keep in mind they announced that, but that's happening, and yet there's no script or anything for it. Remember James Gunn said nothing is being greenlit until there's a finished script, and yet they keep greenlighting crap without scripts. Their insiders say the same thing. Then they were told Matt Reeves has concerns over Gunn getting to use Batman, which we just covered. And on the clearest example, we were told DC has no real take on Wonder Woman despite her role in Man of Tomorrow, with one insider calling her so generalized she's interchangeable with Maxima. That's the same directionless slate the Wrap is now describing, and it tracks with what we heard earlier about DCU films stalling under Gunn. The director's walking rather than working under him. So apparently the reason he's been directing everything, we've only 2 movies so far that actually have not been directed by this guy. Or so they say, because his fingerprints are absolutely all over Supergirl. The other, of course, is Clayface. But the people who cover this full time are now circling the same answers our insiders gave in October. So they're all basically saying that he is done. That it's a foregone conclusion right now. That he's gone. That this is it. Man of Tomorrow is his last hurrah, which it probably will be, especially if it bombs. But here's the thing. The way I think David Ellison is going to approach this is one of 2 things. Number 1 is to go in, obviously wait to see what Man of Tomorrow does. Which is interesting because they made the mistake by telling us before Supergirl came out she is going to play a massive part of that movie. And then of course her movie comes out and absolutely is tanking at the box office already. And it's like, yeah, how are you going to market this movie now after telling people you're going to put her as a massive part of it? Do they wait and see what Man of Tomorrow does, or do they pull the plug on him? Don't announce it, but pull the plug on him so once that movie comes out to say, we're parting ways, blah, blah, blah. That is a high probability. What the other high probability is, and I think would be more what could and probably will happen, is that David Ellison comes in and says, okay, James and Peter, have a seat. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to put someone in with you and rein you in and make bigger decisions for you. I think that's more likely to happen. That this guy is the co-CEO of DC Studios with Peter Safran, but they could put someone in, whether it's a Mike DeLuca or someone else, we don't know. But I think there's a high probability that Ellison will say, we're just putting someone else with you that will kind of keep an eye on you, keep you under control, make sure things are going the way they need to go, and pretty much take a lot of the creative power away from James Gunn. I think that's more likely to happen than to just outright fire him immediately. It all depends what happens. If Lanterns fails to chart and does not resonate with people, and then Clayface lands with a thud, and then Man of Tomorrow absolutely tanks, then they're probably going to look at it and say, think we might have to let you go. Or Does Lanterns work and people go, okay, it was decent? Does Clayface earn money? And then do they hedge their bets on whatever performance Man of Tomorrow could do? To where they say, we're going to put someone in over you, so you're in control, but we've got someone there pulling the reins, making sure that you don't just make these stupid decisions and whatnot. But time will tell. Time right now, with Supergirl tanking the way it is tanking, time is not on James Gunn's side. The one person they should absolutely get rid of is Peter Safran, because he's fucking useless. Keep in mind, this is the guy who backed Amber Heard in Aquaman 2 and flat out told people, oh, by the way, we don't bow to fan pressure. So he basically said, we don't care what the fans say or want. So get rid of that dopey bastard. But what do you guys think? Do you think Gunn will survive? Do you think he will be outed straight away? Do you think he could walk? Or do you think maybe Ellison puts someone over him and kind of rein him in a bit? Let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.